Shamadit.
Assalamualaikum.
Sat Sri Akal.
మీకందరికీ వందనము.
Jai Swami Narayan.
जय श्री कृष्ण.
जय जनेंद्र.
हमारे हमारे भाई बंधुओं को बोल दे याली मदद.
मौलाली मदद बोलते सारे फीचर बंद बोलेंगे नीसा बोला बंधुजान हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारा मैं सिर्फ आलतू बाबा.
And of course, myself, Altu Rani, लेकर आपके लिए एक और drive time that's going to make it totally mysterious and totally मस्तानी में तो जानिए. अगर आप सोच रहे हैं इतना टाइम क्यों लग गया, बाप रे, आप यकीन नहीं मानोगे हमें इतने सेंचुरी मारने का नहीं, delve करने का, explore करने का मौका मिला आज बंधुजन, क्योंकि we had to go back so many centuries.
Well, very interesting though, right?
Yeah.
This is actually the mystery which you're going to talk about. अगर आप हमारे status देख लिया already, तो you know what the status is all about, right? We're talking about this particular a curious thing, a mysterious information which we found for you guys.
Correct.
And it dates back almost 1 millennia. 2 millennia.
2 millennia?
2 millennia. 2000,
oh my God.
right?
Yeah.
And of course, Bhajan, this is the mystery of the 9 soldiers. Or should I say, mystery of the 9 men, or 9 mystery men. And ye kaun, kya hai, kaisa hai, what is all this about? You will know right now because we're going to come into detail about all these things. Right, Father?
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly, Bhajan. आज एक और ऐसे mystery को unfold करेंगे आपके सामने. Sometimes you'd wonder, is this a mystery or is it actually history?
Oh my God!
Or is it chemistry? अगर आप सोच रहे हैं, because
well,
chemistry is also
involved in
that. Exactly, Bhajan. And you know, there's been a lot of times when we've हमारे जो we've heard, I don't know how many of you have heard about this, but you got to pay attention to this really closely. There's some secret societies करके societies होती है. If you're people who follow like these, what is that movie, man? What is that, the one that the king society will be there, no, the secret society that protects the king? What is that?
That's right, it's called the what do you call that? Oh no, it's very famous out here in America.
Acha.
Oh, what do they call them? They call them that some men. Well, actually, there are many secrets are everywhere. There is the gentleman's thing which is there in the Britain.
In Britain, what is that? That where it's like a clothing store and they. What is that?
That's a story, fantasy story.
I know, but they say that's true.
Well, they claim the CIA. There's actually the deep state is what they call it. So, I think ever since thanks to Trump, he has exposed deep state for us. So, like that, there's a lot of things. Over here, of course, they call them what is it called? It's called the secret society here. In America, it's very famous.
Illuminati.
Illuminati is all in the world, of course.
Yeah.
What other one?
What do you mean? Other one, bolo to?
It's called something else over here. Oh my God, society.
I forgot what it's called. I thought it was called Illuminati. There's like a secret society of people who are there to ensure that certain. Apparently, there's these people who belong to the secret society who supposedly are the most influential people. Some of the people are the most influential people, and you really don't know who these people are. And they sort of run the world, it seems.
Oh, that's true. Illuminati is one thing, of course, for sure. The Knights of Templars. That's the other one. The Freemasons.
Freemason Society. What is Freemason, by the way?
Freemason Society is actually it's part of the American history. Actually, goes back to almost the time of Constitution creation, U.S. Constitution, right?
Oh, wow.
13 of the 39 men who signed the Constitution were supposed to be Freemasons, right?
Yeah.
And
our founding fathers, as we call them, right?
Yeah, and they actually trace back to the Middle Ages, I believe, in Europe. They actually are the people who came here, prosecuted for their religion and everything. They're Protestants, right? They're not the Catholics, right? They're fighting against religion also. They came over here, they formed the land over here. And the belief is, Freemasonry is not a religion actually. People think it's a religion. No, it's not. They are encouraged to believe in a supreme being, of course. Sorry, something you're saying.
Meenakshi ji is saying, please check the sound settings. There seems to be some issue with the sound setting.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Meenakshi ji. And of course, nice to see you all up and those joining on Facebook. Raj Lakhoda ji, Pam to you as well.
It should work now.
Please do stay tuned because we do have a very interesting mystery. Like Altaba was talking about the secret societies that you see and in the different parts of the world, right? Jaise, हमने Illuminati बोला, इसने Freemasons बोला और कुछ the Kingsmen, I don't know what it's called. Like there's different people who are supposed to be keeping the way things are going in the world, keep that going, basically keeping the order of the world, or who are in possession of certain items or knowledge or resources जहाँ पे उनके वो कंट्रोल करते हैं कि कैसे मूवमेंट होती है, क्या होता है, and all that stuff.
Correct. And do you know there's very famous imagery for Freemason? Have you heard of this imagery of Freemasons? I don't know if you've come across it in your extensive research, Patroni.
No, I haven't.
What?
I haven't come across.
No,
Does it also look like that?
Look like what?
Like what we have, the 9 mystery men? Those are not the Freemasons, let me tell you just
They
now.
are not the Freemasons, Patroni, but
Yeah.
since we're talking about secret societies, I wanted to bring to your attention about the imagery and tell me where you see this imagery, okay?
On the... What?
Yeah.
What?
It's called the Eye of the Providence.
Oh my God!
All-seeing eye is a Masonic symbol, and it's debatable, of course. Long before the Freemasons, the Egyptians used the eye of the Horus. You know Horus, right?
No.
The god of Egypt. Like he's the guy. So they basically, it's like, and it's under the watchful eye of God, is what it means.
Oh.
Right. So this is the imagery which you see.
So
pretty
that's
much.
the
So
same image they use for the Illuminati.
you didn't realize where this
It's
image
on
comes?
the dollar note.
Exactly, it's on the dollar bill.
Yeah.
And if you want to go check it out, Banjana, you can check it out there for sure. Don't just take my word for it. Today we're talking about all the secret societies, and specifically today,
One
we-
particular secret society that predates all of these secret societies.
which predates most of the secret society. That's true. Well,
Yeah.
actually, if you look at the trace back to the generation trace back, right? It traces back to a long time. Like
Yes.
Freemasonry also goes back to the medieval ages.
Correct.
And Genesis kya hai kisi ko मालूम नहीं है, right? But definitely today something very interesting Faltoni is going to share with you guys, right? Faltoni, why don't you just jump into it? 9 mystery men, very vague. But is there a specific origin story to this?
Yes, there is actually, Altu Baba. So, जैसे हमने आपको बताया that like the Freemasons and the Illuminati, there was one more secret society that was formed by none other than the great Emperor Ashoka.
What?
Huh.
Ashoka, that is the one who played the sun.
So that's exactly what I was going to do. That's exactly what I was going to say. Raat ka nasha abhi.
Well,
Yes.
actually, he is his timeline chronologically. He is before Christ, though, right?
Yes.
He
yes.
was he ruled the subcontinent before Christ.
in 270 BC.
Was the time when he actually even spread the word of Gautama?
Well, around that time, yes. So
Yeah.
you remember that Kalinga war where there was
Yeah.
an extensive amount of bloodshed. He was a Maurya Empire, jo all the reigning
Emperor
empire
tha.
tha. He was the emperor of the Maurya Empire.
Oh, by the way, the Maurya Empire. People should talk about the presence of Maurya Empire.
What about the presence? It was spanned across the globe, Bandhujan. It was all over because at that time, that's where the Akhanda Bharat concept comes from,
Oh,
right?
really? Uh-huh.
It went across the Hindu Kush mountains and everything, right? It went
It
across
was,
that.
you're right, it was the Maurya Empire was so huge.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can get our,
The image of the Maurya Empire.
Maurya Empire. It was
how
the first pan-India. It was actually covered the entire India.
It even covered portions of China, right? It went supposedly at least that belt where because he sent emissaries out there, right?
Correct, yeah. But
And Sri Lanka and everywhere.
yeah, the landmass was huge.
Correct.
Huge is not the word.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can get imagery for our bandhus to take a look at it, Faltwani.
Yeah.
So that way they get an idea as to how the size, expands of this particular wonderful empire, right?
Yeah.
Before the British Raj got into it, right?
A long time before.
Long time before that, the Maurya Empire spanned quite a big area, covered even the Silk Route. Actually, if you remember Silk Route, Faltwani, do you remember Silk Route? We learned in our school times,
Yes, Alto Baba. So, see that Panajan where he is pointed out the Maurya Empire. This was the empire that was ruled by none. You see how far it spans. It goes past even.
Goes past the Middle East, goes into Europe also. by the way.
Yeah, parts of Europe as well. So this is this was the empire that was ruled by none other than our very own Emperor Ashoka.
Yeah, and maybe people who actually come back and say, Father, there are people who come and say, "Arey yaar, what are you talking about? Northern section mein to kuch khali hai." That portion even now is khali, by the way.
Yeah.
That is, he is talking about region which is beyond even the Himalayas. It went beyond that also, and also wherever the snow was, where now Russia is, of course, that was not part of it. But everything else he taken on in terms of covering the entire landmass.
Right.
This is almost What is the date, Valdoni? I think you have the dates with you, right? Was it 200 BC?
It was in 270 BC.
Oh my goodness.
And Bandhujan, this particular now, he had such. Why are we talking so much about his empire? Because he had so much to lose if something were to happen. Okay, so he didn't want that all the knowledge and the resources and everything, all the riches and the treasures that he had amassed over the years, he didn't want that to be lost to humanity. He wanted that to be preserved. He basically, what happened was, during the Kalinga War, he had this huge, revelation, right, for himself. Ki ye bloodshed, ye sab, it's pointless, because life and death. He had that whole existential crisis that he
After
came
he met
across.
Kareena Kapoor, I know.
Not after meeting
sorry,
Kareena
you're
Kapoor,
talking
kuch bhi
the
random hai.
reality, not the movie.
Yeah. So at that time, it seems what he did was he anointed 9 of his most trusted, or more than trusted, the most knowledgeable people in the different areas of his realm and his reign.
Of his time.
Unko, he appointed them as the 9 secret men. So he formed a secret society at that time. It's called the 9 mystery men. And he ordered these 9 people to remain extremely confidential, not to ever share anything, ever that they are the people who are the keepers of these secrets.
Well,
So
why the 9 is a question. Do you ever think, did they talk about why the 9? What was the reason for 9?
Yes, because there were 9 areas that he felt that knowledge had to be preserved and built on and passed on from generation to generation.
So
that
I just want
was
to
his
tell
goal.
I want to bring attention to one thing here, Faltoni. Even at that time, well, time immemorial, in Sanat Dharma we already have it there, right? Wealth is not the tangible cash
Correct.
which you count in your hand.
Correct.
Wealth was knowledge. He had amassed wealth, but he wanted to preserve not his wealth but the knowledge for the betterment of the entire world. That is exactly what even now we are struggling with, right? Information. AI is coming in. There are people who are for AI, who are against AI. There's some people who are saying that, oh no, AI will ruin the world, right? I don't know, but will it? Isn't intelligence? Doesn't have knowledge? But can it make a decision? Now, if it is anonymous, yes, it can, right? Anonymity actually brings in a lot of things into it. So now the question is, we have to dig deeper and find out what were those things which were the 9. In fact, by the way, what we're sharing with you right now is not something we just picked up out of an article on the internet, Bandhujan. This is something which we've been pondering over quite some time. Secret societies has always intrigued me and Faltoni quite some time, right? We have been students of folklore, and if you look at it, every society has a mention of something like this.
Yeah.
A big ruler, for instance, King Solomon, the wise, right? He had confidence, he kept secret. Similarly, the next person who you can think of, Aldani, who has to keep this secret, you know who it was?
Who?
King Arthur.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
King Arthur's story also is very, very unique. He is a person who used to have those knights, right? You remember the knights of the round table, right? So those are kind of things which you know. But again, those knights, of course, there were names for it. But the point was, these were people who were trusted members of the particular king or emperor. And actually, speaking of Aldani, if you look at it, right, very interesting. The folklore matches in such a nice way. The ruler, emperor kind of a thing, right? In terms of ethnicities also, because they spanned a wide range of cultures. They recognize the variety, the diversity there, and they used to have a diverse people at the table. May it be King Arthur or maybe even King Solomon. He used to have those people who used to be at his table of advisors, right, and all those things. So yeah, even this, for the matter, the secret society of 9. Now, we talked about 9, and she said there were 9 fields. I would love to know what are the 9 fields. Fatwani, do you want to take it away from that?
Well, yes. So this, what he did was, Emperor Ashoka at that point in time, he basically wanted to develop as a personal information about anything and everything that spans the globe, so to speak. उसके बारे में ये जितना which if fallen into the wrong hands could be devastating for humanity, यानी कि humanity को wipe out कर सकता है, ऐसा information वो उनके पास तो था a certain amount of information, but he also wanted these 9 people that he actually identified, and he handpicked these people, and he wanted them to actually work on these areas, 9 areas. The first area was microbiology, which is obviously we all know what microbiology is. Then there was propaganda. That was an area study. When you say propaganda, we're talking about in terms of PR, public relations, how to get the message across the entire globe. How do you get, if you notice, Buddhism, for that matter, has been under the reign of Ashoka, Buddhism reached far and wide. He sent emissaries to China, he sent emissaries to Sri Lanka, he sent them to Bhutan. There's like so many different places that he sent emissaries to, and that's one of the largest followed religions across the globe, even though Buddhism is actually a part of, has drawn heavily and is a part of something that emerged from Hindu dharma itself. But it became popular because of the way it was, what do you call, I wouldn't use the term propaganda, people would use it, but let's not use it lightly. लेकिन कैसे उसका प्रचार करना है, that was one area which also required that he said he identified an expert who will do study and research and will preserve that information and pass it to the next generation. वैसे ही एक और area था, अभी microbiology हो गया, propaganda हो गया. The third area was cosmology, जहाँ पे study of the cosmos, right? And then we had physiology, which is body का जो आपका physiology है कि how every part of your body, including the nervous system and everything, how does that work? Then there was sociology, and then alchemy was another. The study of metals is another one that was really, really important, and the study of light, then communication, and then gravity. In fact, anti-gravity को study किया उन्होंने, and these were some of the subjects that Ashoka actually taught these people. So he was a very learned and a very brave warrior, and he had a ton of experts around him, and he identified these experts in these different areas: microbiology, propaganda, cosmology, physiology, sociology, alchemy, light, communication, and gravity. अगर आप सोच रहे हैं इसका हमारे मिस्ट्री मंडे से क्या ताल्लुकात है, the thing to know is that these 9 unknown men supposedly exist even today. Yeah, that's right. It's not that they lived from 270 BC to 2023 AD, not like that. But these are people who are 9 mystery men who have been identified, and they, when the mystery man of each particular area, right, whatever the area is, जो अगर उनका cosmology area है, if they feel they can no longer pursue the what do you call, the study of it, or they are no longer able to propagate it, or they're no longer able to or they're nearing their deathbed, or if by then they should have already identified a successor. Boleto, the person that will carry on that tradition, and supposedly this has been passed on from generation to generation, not like father passing it on to the son, but it's more like it's different people that have been identified to have been part of this the 9 unknown or the 9 mysterious men who are part of Ashoka's secret society. In fact, some very, very notable names of Indian origin as well as people from across the world are also supposedly mentioned here. ये हिस्ट्री कैसा था कि सीक्रेट सोसाइटीज़ का हमेशा एक ये जो इंटेलिजेंसिया है या एलीट बोलते हैं, जैसे फ्री मेसन्स के बारे में आलतू ने ऑलरेडी जिक्र किया था, they have always been a feature of advanced civilization. जहाँ पे भी आप जाओ, and this cloud of mystery about secret societies always kind of is linked to their description. And the most important a thing to remember. एक और है, the Priory of the Scion करके. Several of them have existed, and many believe that they are the ones who are governing the world behind the scenes. जैसे जो हमारे वर्ल्ड में हो रहा है कि कौन रशिया ने यूक्रेन को इन्वेड किया, या अभी फ्रांस में अभी राइट्स चल रहे हैं, या यहाँ पे कुछ और हो रहा है जहाँ पे अटैक हुआ वर्ल्ड ट्रेड सेंटर पे, एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स, पीपल आर सेइंग दैट these people are the first people to know what's going on, and they actually sometimes have been the people who have orchestrated even the anarchy sometimes that comes into the world. They could be the people who are the people who have brought about or have brought things under control when things have gone out of control, so to speak. So ये away from the eyes of the general people, ये लोग मिलते हैं, इन लोगों का दिमाग चलता है, and they are the ones who actually do this. So even though people say in today's world that's happening like that, they're saying that 2000 years ago our very own Emperor Ashoka thought of it, and he instituted the 9 unknown men, or the 9 mystery men. And in his case, the only reason, like I said, was to gather and apply the knowledge in a way that it can only be used for the benefit of humanity. Yani ki significant actions, but also ensure that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, ki kuch anap shanap ho jaye. And as a result of this, they began to amass so much scientific knowledge कि they got information on natural sciences, psychology, matter composition, physics, chemistry, astrology, astronomy. ये सब छोटे छोटे examples hai. Like for instance, if you go, there's one particular temple that is built in India. It's called the Brihadishwara temple, which is in Tanjore, or Tanjore that you call in Tamil Nadu. Now, that temple, Bandhujan, has granite on the inside of the temple, and then it's got this huge, heavy shikhara, which is about 150 feet into the sky. One would wonder, how on earth did they, at that time there was no crane, they didn't have cranes, they didn't have any of the, and there were no quarries, kahan se granite aaya, how did they transport all of that to that particular temple, how did they build all of it? That knowledge was somewhere. How much manpower went into it? कैसे उन्होंने पुली leverage किया? कैसे किया? किसी को मालूम नहीं है. It's so hard. And here is the best part. That temple at any given point in time does not cast a shadow on the ground the way it is constructed. Even at the peak of noon, it doesn't cast a shadow on the ground. Now, I'm not talking just about that temple. Where you also have that, what is that? That thumb that is there in Delhi, which does not rust at all. It's a study of the metals there, right? It's like it's been, and then there is one particular place where they have a pillar that's hanging. This temple, which is erected on so many different pillars, and one pillar actually hangs in air. It's literally suspended in air. Anti-gravity. How, I mean, there's so many things that if you actually look at all the mysteries. Now, how are all these being studied? And this was probably one of the things that was initiated, and some people say that it could possibly be a study that was done, and it's an area that needed to be studied, and this is what Ashoka, Emperor Ashoka at that time had sanctioned. So abhi only these 9 men were actually allowed to study and develop scientific theories and technologies, because again, Emperor Ashoka was very afraid that knowledge in the wrong hands can wreak devastation and can wreak destruction. So over the time, when as and when they realized that they could no longer carry on this work, they identified more people, and they passed on that information to a carefully chosen replacement. And the point of the society was to have, at any given point in time, कहते हैं कि अभी भी इस society में 9 people exist. अभी भी. At any given point in time. It cannot go below the 9 people. It's got to have those 9 people who are there. And for nearly 2000 years, the community of the 9 unknown men has continued to exist.
Wow. So it's pretty much like they are actually generation after generation are coming in, is it?
Yeah.
And is there any talk about...
So how did this come to light?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 1923 में Talbot Mundy करके एक English writer who actually was an adventure fiction writer. हाँ, and he adventure fiction से शुरू किए, फिर अमेरिका में थोड़े दिन रहे, फिर इंडिया में गए, then he wrote about British Raj में इंडिया में रहे. 1923 में he embraced theosophy. And when he embraced theosophy, he started studying and researching, and he did tons and tons and tons of research before he actually came up. He was very influenced by this particular story. I mean, वो कहते हैं ना, it's like कहाँ सुनी में आता है कि this is possibly the case. So what he did was he decided to see if there was any merit to this. So what he did, he researched and he published this book called The 9 Unknown Men. Now, what he did was during his research, he found that the transcripts penned by the great Emperor Ashoka himself proved to be the most crucial and most helpful part of his investigation. So, he deduced and compiled a list of 9 books written by the 9 people based on the records that were accounted for by Ashoka himself.
Wow.
Yeah. And this list of books that he compiled has a wide range of support. काफ़ी सारे लोगों ने इसको reference किया है. There's a whole bunch of reference material that's there. And the 9 books were on physiology. The book was called The Touch. What is it? It covered physiology and demonstrated how to murder somebody by just touching them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a technique known as the touch of death, which involves reversing a nerve impulse. It is also said that a leak from this book resulted in that of the martial art of judo.
Well, actually, Kadri Payut already has it.
So that's what this particular book, जो physiology का उन्होंने बात किया था, it was an intricate study, like I told you, our nervous system and everything, and that this is one of the books. The second book was a book of communication, which is a pure study on communication methods, and he is both a terrestrial and an alien being. The 9 unknown were aware of aliens and the outside world, according to this particular book.
Well, the thing is, the alien they're talking about is considered to be Lord Shiva. I don't want to get into trouble with anybody else, but the fact is that our Puranas actually talk about that as him being an alien from a different planet.
Right.
Right? Or different, is a total being who's not of human form.
Wow.
Right? Yeah.
And then there was the, in 270 BC, at that time there was no aircraft and all. Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember, no aircraft and all that. So, gravity, the secrets of gravity were revealed in this book. That time Darwin hadn't even come up with the, not Darwin, what do you call, Newton didn't even have the laws of motion, right?
Well, actually speaking, if you look at it, right, there's a lot of truth to it, because in our Puranas, we talk about the Vimana, Pushpaka Vimana. Research has been done right now about it. And you know how they found out? You know how they made the Vimana fly?
How?
Gravity. Because they found anti-gravity material. Do you know how, when you, in Shiva Pujas and all, right, and a lot of people who do Tantra, they have some material called mercury. Mercury, when it's rotated at a certain speed, it attains anti-gravity position.
Wow.
Like if you notice that when you heat up mercury, it actually goes up, you remember? And that's how you measure temperature, right? It suddenly goes up, right?
Yeah.
It has an anti-gravity thing to it anyway. So when you heat up mercury to a certain level, certain temperature, it automatically goes up. So it carries anything and gives weightlessness to it.
Correct.
So there have been a lot of connection to this part of this particular study.
So
yes,
this is what he's saying during that time, he found references to this information. Gravity ke upar ek book tha, which talked about how detailed instructions and directions on how to construct the Vedika Vimana, or which was simply otherwise popularly known as an aircraft. Microbiology and biotechnology with a focus of a book on microbiology. Propaganda discussed propaganda and psychological warfare. Psychological warfare kya hota hai bhai?
Psychological warfare, what's all the mind?
Yeah, it's they say all wars are most first won in the mind before you actually implement it, right? Even a classic example is a game of chess, right? Bandhujan, jab hum log khelte hain, you actually anticipate what the moves are, what should you do, what are plan A, plan B, plan C. So this was one of the books that was written, and of course cosmology pe study of the universe's concerns were incorporated into this book, and alchemy, of course, metal transmutation ki kaise alloys and different ores se kya ban sakta hai, what can be done. light was about the speed of light and how to use light as a weapon.
Oh, wow.
Was something that was mentioned in detail in his
So
books.
I think Ramayan Sagar had a spiritual link to it. Because all his weapons to have light. And they come, they stand there and they throw light at people, right?
Yeah. But listen, Bandhujan, this is not just a subject. It was actual books that were written at that time. And then there was the final book, which was the book on, which is the 9th and the last volume. It was on sociology, which talked about the guidelines for society's progress and methods for predicting its destruction.
But then again, let me tell you one thing. The good thing, very interesting thing about this whole, the mystery behind those 9 men, nobody knew who they were.
Correct.
Nobody still date know who they are. Whether it's still existence, we don't know. They say it's still in existence, we don't know. Has the knowledge preserved with the thing? Because we know Pralaya happens every once in a while. Did you know about that?
Yeah.
You know who the author of Vedas are?
Vyasa.
Vyasa.
Yeah.
So Vyasa wrote the Vedas.
Yeah.
The Trayi, they called it. They called it Trayi. According to Sanskrit, they called Trayi the Vedas, right? Those Trayi Vedas were thanks to Vyasa, who wrote out of memory. When the Pralaya happened, everything got destructed. Right? And then he was the person who came with those things out of memory. So just imagine what even he says is the fact that there's one particular thing where he talks about the fact that when he was studying the Vedas, writing it down, he did not get 100% of it. A lot of information got lost. So now you got to wonder, oh my God, what's he talking about? Alchemy, cosmology, sociology, how to run the universe. Was Confucius involved in that? Because Confucius actually was a big time on that particular concept of how to run society. Confucianism is all about that, right? And the Book of Light, gravity, oh my goodness, microbiology, Shushusha. Could he have been on those people? Shushusha was who? Was the sage who was the medic, right?
Right.
So all those things. Physiology, again, Shushusha himself, right? We don't know who are the people, nobody knows. But this definitely is there. It's something we've got to ponder, research on.
And here's the best part, that they had this जो communication का extraterrestrial communication, gravity, ये सब information उनके पास था 270 BC में, उस time पे, when it was actually, in fact, when Talbot Mundy actually put this all together, अगर आप सोच रहे हैं कि other secret society books that have been written, right? Talbot Mundy, he published 9 Unknown Men. Some people say that it's half myth and half science. But in 1960, Jacques Bergier and Louis Pauwels करके दो लोग, they claimed that the 9 unknown men were actually real. And that the narrative of Pope Sylvester II was actually represented in their book, which was The Morning of the Magicians.
Pope Sylvester II was the first French pope.
Yeah.
Right? I think he came on a private expedition to India.
India, yes.
And supposedly met with
the 9.
The 9 unknown people, learned something called, he's spoken about a bronze skull which would talk.
Yeah.
It's like yes and no answers, like, the basic 1 and 0, right?
Yeah. जो हमारे आज, we all know everything is bits and
Binary,
bytes, right? Binary, right? The ones and zeros. So this particular bronze head was something that Pope Sylvester II learned how to make this bronze head that would give answers about the biggest problems in the universe in a yes or a no.
Yeah. See, you should actually wonder about these things, because these 9 men who did this research, they're supposed to written books. We don't know where the books are, right? But the thing is, these particular stories are there in our Puranas. Like, for instance, this book also talks about anti-gravity for anything, for interstellar travel also. It also talks about the fact of the person, a human being, which is one of the siddhis, right? Lighima. Laghima is a siddhi which you can gain, wherein you can travel, you can fly.
You can defy gravity, basically. Human beings, we are not built to fly, right?
That's a siddhi which you would get. Like Hanuma was the person who had all the siddhis. He had 9 siddhis with him, right? There you go. Also was talking about 9 siddhis.
Right.
I went to connecting back to the siddhis in our Indian culture, right? To talk about those things.
Yeah. So actually ये जो proof मिला है with regard to the 9 men, mystery men, and also the actual work that existed. Ek to Pope Sylvester II, he alludes to a meeting with these 9 men and learning about the different things, and especially with regard to the bronze talking head, so to speak, which gives the answers. And he, in fact, the Pope had this ancient robot skull and a slew of other astounding inventions based on the knowledge that he gained from the 9 unknown men. But all his dreams, however, were destroyed after he died. लेकिन जैसे आल्तो ने बताया with regard to the anti-gravitational research जो था, they say that in Tibet they found some of the books. It is actually some books were discovered there, but India was unwilling to take anti-gravitational studies seriously. So what China did, they proclaimed that the text would be used on, by them
Scientific research.
for scientific research on anti-gravitational force. There were also books. We all know that Alexander Emile Jean Yersin saved the world from, the world had cholera and plague, right? That wiped out half of humanity, right? Still, a lesser known fact is that this Alexander Emile Jean Yersin actually traveled to Madras, today's Chennai, in India, where he met the descendants, one of the 9 unknown men, and learned how to make an immunotoxin that can be used in cholera treatment.
Now you'd wonder, if that's true, why don't they have a treatment for cancer?
Well, maybe there is something that's there and they haven't let it come out.
Why is the question?
You don't know, because Big Pharma. Right?
Hey,
Because how
Mystery
will-
Monday, our job is to make sure we can create the mystery for you guys.
Correct.
Right?
So the secret society that was supposed to have been through reigning throughout Ashoka's reign, but they kept it a secret because they promised to keep secrets. They said they are not going to reveal that information. And I just want to tell Pranabji, show suno. We're actually on the show right now, so you can give us a call here online on 408-832-8881 as opposed to calling in on my phone. So you can call on the 408-832-8881. Finally, when the illness became too severe to endure in 1890, apparently the descendants of the 9 unknown men, one of those descendants told Yersin about it. 1890 में कि कैसे ये immunotoxin develop करना है.
But then again, you might wonder, how come these guys are not of Indian origin?
Who?
The people who are discovering these things.
Then the people who because the people traveled to India. All of these people have traveled to India to get the knowledge.
You didn't get my point. So how come, if at all those 9 men are residing in India, how come they are not sharing them with Indian? Why did they share with somebody else of a different origin? From a different origin. Coming from a different land totally. Could it be because of the fact that suddenly India lost its control over the whole world, so only the colonials could control it? Hence they went to the people who actually had the most influence or the power, because the 9 men were the people who are actually away from power, who are supposedly not impacted by the rule. The ruling, the creation of the 9 men was because of the fact they should be independent of any other ruling.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So probably that's why they do not come to an Indian who come and say, if it comes to me, I'll say, hey, chal rahe, bhag rahe. We'll just dismiss them off.
Yeah. No,
So-
and also they were not supposed to reveal कि वो थे ना.
हाँ,
That is the whole idea, right? कि क्या होता है इंसान को when somebody wants what happens is when you want fame and you want to be acknowledged, you will say that I'm this, and then that is the start of the undoing of the when the ego comes into play, right? So to keep that in check, he probably said you have to keep this a mystery, and they are sworn to secrecy that they will not reveal this unless it comes to a point where humanity is going to be affected. तो तीसरी चीज़ आप सोच रहे होंगे कि I talked to you about the Brihadishwara temple and all those things, right? The other thing that is really, really curious is why, the purity of the Ganges. All kinds of people with all kinds of communicable diseases go and bathe in the Ganges, right?
Well, there is okay. So that is something which I'm a little bit skeptic about.
Huh.
to say that, oh, it's got it to the temple deep down there giving radiations and all stuff.
Well,
But there is a fact, there is a particular thing which research has been shown how mantra shakti
huh.
can be used to change the molecular capability, molecular uh, the shape, structure of the water itself, right?
Correct.
So, and where it comes from, the most purest form is the Himalayas. And of course, there, whatever the water takes transformation from, you can say it could be radiation because actually it goes above the skyline, right? Himalaya is supposed to be the tallest peak in the entire world, right? It touches, goes outside the cosmos, right? I don't know what the thing is. Or could be the fact that the Kailasha, which has never been scaled thus far, could actually be a spacecraft of the guy we're talking about, who's an alien coming to come to this world. And residing there, could be coming from there. So, and again, yeah, I don't know. I'm a little skeptic about this particular thing of this guy, this Louis Jacques, what his name is?
Louis Jacoliet.
What was
He was a French barrister, a colonial judge, lecturer, and author who actually claimed कि based on the water of the holy river remaining uncontaminated, despite millions of people with all kinds of diseases, infectious diseases, taking a dip every day.
But then again, it was contaminated.
So we think.
Flowing water does not hold on to anything. That's why. Okay, anyway, that's why some of them are skeptical. You got to think with a nice.
Well,
always there should be some other thing, right?
So they're saying that all this study about the riverbed being, with radiation and stuff, was documented in the books that were there. And then there's this secret of space travel, gravitation, and aerodynamics that India, even today, apparently it's called Vaimanika Shastra, and it was written by the 9 unknown men. It contains several secrets about aerodynamics, gravity, and space travel. Many hypotheses have circulated that ancient India had, like you said, right, Ki Pushpak Viman tha, there was this travel across space, and then it was depicted in Ramayana and Mahabharata and everything. So India supposedly still maintains this particular, they've kept this secret. India supposedly has
we don't know. The people, common man doesn't have privy to it. That's what actually bothers me.
Well, here is the thing. It was apparently there have been many theories refuting the claims that this was not true. India doesn't have all of this. The Sanskrit text discovered in Lhasa, okay, supposedly contains instructions for building interstellar ships, as well as an ancient Indian script found in Afghanistan that resembles the description of a Vimana. Okay, indicate that the 9 unknown have preserved the knowledge of gravity, aerodynamics, and space travel. So it has been preserved in different ways in different places by different people. And then ye jo scientific revelations apparently are written on palm leaves. It is stated that extracts of scientific findings are thought to have been discovered on palm leaves. Heat, light, electromagnetic fields, color, identifying the components of the sun's rays, directions on creating machines to capture solar energy, ye sab pura, including communication with extraterrestrials, are all thought to be included in these palm leaves. And
well, okay, this is all thought to be included, matlab research is going on, right? Now again, I'm going to say this because, okay, now you brought up the fact. They found a palm leaf. In Karnataka, the actually southern part of India, they actually found this palm written in palm leaves. They thinking it could have
been part of the work of the 9 men.
9 men. That is again correcting two things and say, oh, there you go, that's what it is. Again, debatable, questionable, 9 men formation, was it there? We don't know. The mystery over here is, we are going about a particular guy who said this and that about the 9 men and converging evidence showing that actually coming back to the subcontinent. Again, also the fact that, when the 9 men were formed, they were formed not only in our subcontinent, there were parts of people in Europe, there were parts of people in Afghanistan, there were parts of people in other different places, because Ashoka, who supposedly has in his account talked about the 9 men he's supposed to have, right? Who was supposed to have sworn it almost 2,000 years ago. Are they still active now? We don't know. But there are people who are doing research now and think, this possibly could be that. But the question I'm telling you now is, why we brought it up in a Mystery Mondays, because these are some mysteries of the world which we cannot solve. It's okay. It's fine. They're there. They're there. We should just be thankful. If they get approached by the society and they say, "Can you be part of our 9 men?" Then probably you can say, I was right.
Well, here is the thing, Manjan. The last one that I really want to tell you, which you will find very intriguing and interesting and, probably
Propaganda.
scary, is propaganda. The
Ah.
power to influence people. They're saying, no, but it was true.
Okay,
They still
listen.
say the Rig Veda, parts of the Rig Veda are in Germany. It is not over
Wait.
here.
Okay, let me finish. So there's a shastra called Artha Shastra. Artha Shastra. Kautilya.
Kautilya wrote,
Right? He
Chanakya,
wrote.
yeah.
Chanakya wrote it, right? There is also Atharvana Veda, right? Our Vedas talk about these things. And Kautilya's Arthashastra talks about many of these things. Now, the question you have to definitely ask is, was Kautilya part of
One
the
of the 9 men.
Yes, you know
Yeah,
why? The
yeah.
Here's the things. He was of humble beginnings,
Yeah.
humble man, a Brahmin of every sect, and he influenced Chandragupta, last name please,
Maurya.
who was the descendant of,
What?
hey,
Hey,
Maurya.
no, wait. He was not a descendant of Ashoka.
No, he was not descendant.
Ashoka was a descendant of Chandragupta Maurya.
Oh, correct. I'm sorry,
Yes,
missing that.
because
Missing that, sorry.
Chanakya served as an advisor and prime minister to Chandragupta Maurya,
Chandragupta Maurya, sorry, my bad. I
who
was.
reigned from 340 to 293. Because remember, at that time it went backwards.
It went backwards. For us, it went straight only. For them, it went backwards.
Correct.
That's a different issue. They purposely made it that way.
Yeah.
But it should not have. It should have been going forwards, right?
Correct.
So, in terms of that way, yeah, Chandragupta Maurya, descendant of Chandragupta Maurya was Ashoka.
Yeah.
Right? And this whole concept of confidence,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Confidence, the how you run a state,
Yeah.
is all there in what? Arthashastra.
Correct.
Arthashastra also talks about having amatyas. Amatyas, the people who would be the advisors for the particular king.
Correct.
Who would not be associated with anything else.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. If you're not read Arthashastra, please read it, because the art of war is outcome of Arthashastra. Arthashastra is now taught as a subject matter in Pakistan army also. It was
Correct.
adopted by Indian army. Of course, Indian army implemented the Arthashastra philosophies when they took over the the war of Bangladesh, right? How they, without even raising an arm, they were able to use this tactics of Arthashastra for leverage.
Yeah.
Where all these things talked about, the Siddhis all talked about, right? Which all these things are there, wherein one has to be learning all the stuff.
Correct.
So I don't know, was Kautilya part of the 9 men?
No, but he could have been the person who initiated the thought process, because till 293 BC Kautilya served. He might have started something which Ashoka picked up and went forward with. Because Ashoka did this in 270 BC, right? But maybe Ashoka was born at that time and he had some basic understanding, but he took it forward.
Correct.
So, because Ashoka was known to be a fierce emperor, right? He was
correct.
a huge
So,
this
but
thing.
also want to tell you is that time life expectancies of people were longer.
Yeah.
You never know. There could have been a particular thing. The Maurya dynasty could have been advised by this, and he could be one of them also. You never know.
You
right?
never know,
And
yes.
different times in our thing, we are seeing different people. So I'm not surprised. Just a little bit of research we have done.
Yeah.
We could identify the connections. All the people, other guys who did the research in depth. I'm talking about all the barristers and managers who actually had a lot of time in the world, money.
But it's something to be thinking about, right? So even the people who we claim are the scientific researchers,
Uh-huh.
the what do you call, even people like Hitler, Adolf Hitler, who were supposedly the autocrats and the dictators of the world, actually sent people and sent missions and personally came to India and Tibet to go and search for get answers about from so-called one actually wonders, is this the 9 mystery unknown men whom they got this information from? Because in the 1930s apparently Hitler launched several expeditions to Tibet and India to gather this information, and some even suspect that some of the classified material even today actually India does not have the Rig Veda and some of our Shastras. Manjan, it is being researched in Germany even till date. If you know the highest number of Sanskrit scholars, who are the maximum amount of research that was going on with regard to Sanskrit, right, being used as a computer language, and it is a perfect language for computer coding apparently, was in Germany.
Yeah. So also
And it's all very secret again.
So again, talking about the 9 men, right? The 9 men, and also talking about Ashoka.
Yeah.
Ashoka was a Maurya king, emperor. Prior to him, his forefather was Chadragupta Maurya. Timelines wise, if you look at it, right? Supposedly, it's recorded Chanakya. Ashoka was actually born in 304 BC. He was born in 304 BC. Chanakya died in 283 BC. There could have been an overlap between the two, but they do say there's no historical evidence that Ashoka was taught by him, definitely guided by him to be bringing in the particular world peace. What Ashoka brought out actually. He was very instrumental in the thing, and that's the time it was fresh, okay? The Artha Shastra was fresh out of the thing. And Kautilya was excellent at summarizing all the Shastras together, because Kautilya, though his name is Kautilya, is a person who's clever as a fox. That's what it means. Kautilya means fox, right? So he was a very intelligent person who had knowledge of all the things, but yet very humble. Right, and I'm quite, So again, the 9 mystery men of Emperor Ashoka was not just coming out of the blue. He was not him only. It was actually a lot of work behind it also. So there have been centuries of work going on, and then that's how it came into existence. And there's also a reason to believe, as we go further in our life, people who have made a lot of impact on the thing, probably they were part of the 9.
In fact, it is told, Altu Baba, it is told that some of the 9 men included people like our very own, guess who? APJ Abdul Kalam was supposed to be one of the 9 unknown men.
Well,
and also Isaac Newton was supposed to be one of the 9 unknown men.
Well, you could say this, I'll tell you why.
Albert Einstein.
Yes, because their inspiration suddenly came from somewhere.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? What happened? We don't know.
Yeah.
Were they the 9 men? We don't know. Were they influenced by the 9 men? Probably.
Yeah.
Because by the nature of how these people work, well, actually, again, Faltoni, why I'm talking about this is I wanted to emphasize again to our bandhus out there that me and Faltoni are big students of folklore. We read all kinds of stories. We love these stories because there's always a converging evidence between all these things.
Correct.
Maybe fairy tales in India compared to fairy tales over here. The hero archetype of a particular Greek god to the hero archetype of a particular Indian mythology, right? Greek mythology and Indian fact or fiction.
Correct.
So that what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of similarities there. If you look at there's some commonality between the Illuminati. Probably the 9 men, they were called Illuminati somewhere else. Because they didn't have the concept of 9 men, right? 9, we understand it as Ashtasiddhis, the 8 Siddhis which Hanumanji had, similar with that of Lord Shiva, right? All those things is what we have from our culture, and we call them a secret 9 society.
Yeah.
They have different names, by the way. This particular secret society is there everywhere, or the existence is there everywhere of, rather, what is the thing for me? It's the essence is there, presence is not there. You know what I'm saying? There is an essence, but there's no presence.
Yeah. Well, there's one more person who is supposed to have been known as the one of the 9 unknown men, one of the descendants or one of the people that was passed on and identified was Vikram Sarabhai. Now, if you guys don't know who Vikram Sarabhai is, guys, we talked about it recently in our Mystery Mondays. Vikram Sarabhai was a very close friend of Homi Jahangir Baba.
Homi Baba.
What happened? What was their knowledge? Vikram Sarabhai and Homi Jahangir Baba were Indian physicists. And he was a person who was an astronomer who initiated space research and helped develop the nuclear program. Now, remember what happened to Homi Baba? He crashed over the Alps, remember? And what was his name? Bob Crowley, from the CIA, attested to the fact that they caused his death. Right? The CIA caused him to be brought down. Guess what happened to Vikram Sarabhai?
No idea. What happened? What happened?
He was supposed to review the SLV design, which is basically what was supposed to happen just before. And then he was only 52 years old, okay? And he went to Thiruvananthapuram to present something. He had to go to...
People, if you don't know what it is, in the time 70s, there was a race for the going to space. SLV stands for the Satellite Launch Vehicle.
Yeah, the Satellite Launch Vehicle. And India would have been ahead of the space race. This is way, okay? At that time, what he said was he left Bombay to go to, he actually spoke to APJ Abdul Kalam on the phone. And within an hour of the conversation, after speaking to Abdul Kalam, he died of a cardiac arrest. So again, it was his body was cremated in Ahmedabad, but people again say it was a very sudden and a sudden mysterious death.
So I want to say one thing here, Father. Dealing with conspiracies all my life, right?
Yeah.
I've learned one thing.
Yeah.
This particular mystery you're talking about here, 9 mystery men of Emperor Ashoka, right?
Yeah.
We know the genesis of this.
Yeah.
We don't know the existence of it right now. So आग दिखता नहीं है लेकिन धुआं है. That's what I meant to say. There is a lot of things. See, it is not just there is no dhua without aag. We learnt it, right?
Yeah,
It's scientifically, it's a fact. When you have the Bourne identities, the James Bond movies, right?
Yeah.
We talk about all these movies, multiple storylines.
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible also. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
take that also into consideration. There always talks about secret society, which nobody talks about, talking about the greater good of society, saving the world, blah, 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 creating the balance. Maybe even the most, the cliched Marvel comics.
Right.
We'll talk about the Eternals who actually are there.
Right.
There are 9 Eternals. You should know why it is. But the point is, I want to bring attention to
9
people.
Eternals.
Why?
See, there is some connection with the number 9.
There is
dude.
some connection. So basically, you're saying that the guy who created the Marvels is one of the guys. Well, the point is this: if at all, going by the narrative of all these particular secret societies, you cannot say somebody in limelight is a part of that particular society.
Correct.
Now you say Homi Baba.
Unlike the Illuminati, no, Homi Baba was not in limelight, Alto Baba. He was not in the limelight.
Oh, you didn't get it.
He was in possession of extreme knowledge, which would have positioned India as one of the nuclear superpowers.
Okay.
Right?
So, yeah, Fatrani.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is the design of that particular society. I'm not talking about just specifically the 9 mystery men of Ashoka thing or lineage, or I'm not talking specifically Illuminati, or specifically I'm talking about the masonries and all, right? They never are seen taking the limelight.
Correct.
Example would be in the movie Mummies. They talk about a secret society in the Egyptian culture, which is still there. They don't take that. The thing is, they are against limelight or anything else. They will do the thing. They probably will give it to somebody else. Hey, take it and go. They are the leaders. They are the keepers of the keys, you can say.
Right. So there's, Manishan, I don't know if you are junkies on all of this. It's not that you have to be a junkie, but it's always good to know that there are some things. It's good to ask questions because there are many things that remain unanswered, right? अगर आपने उसका Dan Brown का Da Vinci Code पढ़ा है, or for that matter, have you watched the movie Da Vinci Code? If you haven't, go watch it. Okay. If you read Talbot Mundy's The 9 Unknown Men, you'll start to wonder how everything is somehow connected and yet not connected, and yet there are so many answers to so many things, yet that also raises a lot of questions. Now, it sounds paradoxical, right? But that's what life is. Isn't it a paradox कि हर एक चीज़ के लिए answer भी है और सवाल भी है. It's like, it's a real mystery. I mean, we thought that this was an interesting mystery that, we didn't know about. I didn't know about. I knew about the Illuminati. I'd heard about it, and I've always been curious about the secret society. And then the King's Men करके एक group है वहाँ पे. And I used to wonder. Where it's coming from somewhere. And then it shocked me to find out that our very own predecessor, from India, the Emperor Ashoka himself, predated all these people 2,000 years ago, had his own secret society that he formed, which they claim is still in existence. So, the other place that I found out about, this unknown, these 9 mystery men. Tell me where.
Where?
We watched a series. It's called Supernatural, Bandhujan.
No, really? Yeah.
Remember, they had information about everything, and that spanned even time travel.
Yeah.
Everything in that particular series, it specifically again attests to these men who are the knowledge bearers, so to speak, the people who have exceptional amount of knowledge, even with regard to normal, paranormal, abnormal phenomena as well.
Yeah. So again, I was talking about the comic book, right? Even comic book has point of reference. The Eternals, who keep the peace of the entire universe, the world, they also are a number very similar. I think there were like 10 Eternals he creates,
Huh.
but 9 are active.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, Bandhujan, what we want to tell you is this is basically the mystery that we have for today, the Mystery Mondays.
Yeah, in fact, I hope we could have given you more information. Probably we'll try to dig more and see what else we can present you guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as you enjoyed. Just tell you that, you know, दुनिया में भलाई के लिए लोग हैं. अगर आपको मौका मिले, आप भी कीजिएगा.
That's
हो सके
right.
तो भला कीजिएगा.
And if somebody approaches you and says, you're good in your field, and they say, you know what, you are...
Hey, you never know.
You heard it first on Pam Pam.
Yeah,
Your
you-
radio
hey,
already told you.
and by the way, they don't come out in the limelight. That's
They
why I'm
want you
saying.
to be a keeper of
Faltoni
that-
never tells anything about. She never knows. She might be part of the 9 men.
No.
Okay, why is it that I have to be men only? Is the question. No, it is just the number 9, right? It is men as in folk, people, right? It could be women also. Don't ever come back and say, "Oh, I'm a feminist. Where are the women? Right? 9 men." Faltoni is she's the game. She's like the what do you call her? The guru, right? The brain, right? Operations.
Well, either way,
never know.
I don't know about all of that, but I'm just going to tell you that this is a very, very interesting story that we came across. We thought this is a mystery that we definitely want to uncover and then, raise a question mark against and see if we could delve deeper to find out. If you do get more information, हमारे Facebook पे लगा दीजिएगा, हमें बताइएगा. We can probably come back and revisit this. But thank you, Raj Lakhotia ji, Meenakshi ji, and Babu, who wrote to us saying thank you. What an interesting piece of information. And yes, I didn't know about it either until very recently. And we hope that we can present more and more such mysteries to all of you. इसको अगर पसंद आया ये शो आपको, please हमें hearts दीजिएगा शो पे, or you can also send us stars. Please feel free to share it. We're also on YouTube. Radio D Hotties हमारा channel है. Like कीजिएगा, subscribe कीजिएगा, and of course, please spread the word about Radio D Hotties. We are a non-profit organization. This is a production of Media Mahima, and all the information on the show is just for entertainment and informational and fun-formational purposes. Manjan, तो कल मिलते हैं with yet another teaser takedown Tuesday, or possibly theater takedown Tuesday. We don't know. We'll take some takedown tomorrow. Wait and see what we have to say tomorrow right here on the Pam Pam Show. Tune in sharp at 5:30. We will be back here. And तब तक के लिए हमें इजाज़त दीजिए. Good night. Shabbat khair. Be safe. Do not. Some places have fireworks are banned, but a very, very happy 4th to all of you for tomorrow. Have a beautiful, fantastic evening. Mwah.
Mwah.